In this video, I'm going to discuss most important questions from Module 2 for the subject Control Systems. Module 2 covers both block diagram detection technique as well as signal flow graphs. From this, you can expect the following questions. So the first question is, illustrate how to perform the following block diagram detection technique. Shifting summing point after a block and shifting takeoff point ahead of the block. So you should know the block diagram detection techniques and rules. If you know the rules correctly or appropriately, you can answer this particular question. Whenever you're answering, try to draw the diagrams. Okay. Then only we'll understand how you are shifting the summing point ahead of the block and before and how to shift the takeoff point ahead of the block. Correct. Otherwise, we can't understand what is exactly happening. You can have an example and proceed accordingly. Define the following source and sync node. Okay, these are the terminology related to signal flow graph. Next is called a loop and forward path. What is the meaning of loop and forward path? So you can use the simple signal flow graph and show the examples. Error signal and a primary feedback signal. Okay, these are all the things you are supposed to explain whenever you are studying the signal flow graph. Third question is, write any four rules for block diagram detection techniques. At least four rules. Whenever you are explaining the rule, show with the help of some block diagram technique, detection technique, with the help of a simple example. Without example, your answer will not be valid. So please be informed that whenever you are answering, you are supposed to explain the method also with the help of a simple diagram. Otherwise, your answer cannot be understood by the external examiner. So another theory type question is, define Mason's gain formula in signal flow graph. You know Mason gain formula that is mainly used for computing the transfer function. There is a simple formula is available. Okay, so you refer that particular formula, and in that the terminology also has to be explained accordingly. Fifth one is actually there is a numerical example based on the signal flow graph. Here you need to calculate the transfer function by using the Mason gain formula. First of all, you should be familiar with the Mason gain formula. Try to work out one or two examples. If you want, I will show the basic examples how to solve, how to find out the transfer function using signal flow graph. There is another question related to block diagram detection technique. You are supposed to calculate the transfer function. That means Laplace transform of output to the input using the given block diagram. Here you need to apply the block diagram detection technique. Try to simplify. At least you should convert the everything into in this form ultimately. Then you can take the ratio of output to the input. Okay. So you convert entire thing into this much of forms. Then you will be getting like a C of S. This should be R of S, where C of S is the Laplace transform of output, where R of S is the Laplace transform of input. TF should be C of S divided by R of S. This formula you are supposed to make out, and ultimately you will be getting the answer. So please work out. Once still you are not getting, you can contact me. So I'll be covering at the end. I'll be scrolling down entire notes within few minutes after completion of this video. Question number 7. Obtain the C of S by R of S for the block diagram detection rule. So this is another one, another example, question number 8, that is Mason gain formula. Here you have to calculate x of x5 by x1 using the Mason gain formula. Okay, so use the formula correctly, and you should know the proper definition of the formula, then you can make it out. Question number 9. If the block diagram shown in the one block diagram is given, determine the overall transfer function. So here you need to calculate C of S divided by R of S. Okay, that should be done with the help of block diagram detection technique. That systematic procedure you have to remember. Then only you can solve it. I already done the video related to block diagram detection technique. I request you to go through that before appearing for this session. So determine the transfer function x of b divided by x1 of s using the signal flow graph. Okay, so directions, everything matters a lot. Accordingly, you have to plan, and ultimately you will be getting the answer. Question number 11, block Mason gain formula. So first of all, there's a block diagram. What you can do is, the first step I will tell you in a simple fashion. This is a block diagram, you know. The block diagram will be converted into SFG, signal flow graph. From the signal flow graph, you can calculate the transfer function. Okay. Then compare the block diagram of block diagram and the signal flow graph. So you have to prepare a table. The signal flow graph in one column, then block diagram direction in another column. So you have to find out the major differences between signal flow graph and flow diagram, like block diagram. So that is the ultimate question. Okay. Similarly, find the transfer function using the block diagram and direction technique. You have to convert this electrical diagram into mechanical diagram. Then you can make out what are the types of loops and the respective loop gains in the signal flow graph. So you might have studied the rules of signal flow graph. If you know the rules of signal flow graph, you can answer question number 40. Question number 15, find the transfer function of the block diagram and reduce the circuit using shown figure. So using the block, so you convert the circuit into block diagram format. So that's the first step. Later, what you can do is you reduce the block diagram into single transfer function. That is ultimately expecting. So let me know if you are having any queries related to this particular topic. So if the video is useful, I request you to share with your friends. If the channel is useful for you, kindly subscribe. In order to get more videos, kindly put the bell button. Definitely, whenever I am uploading the new video, you will be notified. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you want, I will show you the important block diagram direction technique in a simple graph. That notes I am going to enclose at the end of the description box. You can check the description box so that you can scroll down my notes. Okay. Thank you so much for watching this video. Happy learning.